it's going to just connect to my encoder, which has been running. And now you'll see that this is now ready to go. And I click this and it'll be the live stream of my presentation as well as my, I'm going to just mute because we don't hear this. Well, you can only have facilitators in terms of like people talking.
Yes, like can you have more than one person split, or let's say you're done your presentation and somebody else wants to jump in, and they do that.
Yeah, the encoders are actually quite sophisticated. There's a lot of options with them. The one thing about using an encoder is there is about a 1 to 2 second lag. So it isn't like super real time. So if there's any like live chatting with participants, it's not quite as perfect because there's a bit of a lag in what shows up on the screen. But it's still like pretty good. It's still pretty good. But if you wanted like a second camera of someone else, you could have that. As long as I would recommend those people are like able to hear each other in a different way. It's definitely possible. Like the encoding software is like very flexible. I can have however many screens. I can show whatever screens I want. Um, so, like if I went to this presentation, it'll start. There's not much in this presentation, so there's only like 2 slides. But so we'll shift around there. Sorry, it's every time I do the live stream is affecting it'll our oh, I don't know why that just stopped on us. So let's just see. Oh, I know why. Oh, that's silly of me. That was my old one. That was just a recording. Yeah, there. This is the live. No, I was wondering why it was taking so long to update the slide. It's because it was just a recording. So you can see that that's actually how good the recordings are because you can't even tell the difference of them. So you can do all the presentation that way.
So the recording of these webinars are already embedded, but we can save them as recorded sessions on our website, correct?
Yeah, like this webinar here, you can see there's two. I have two webinars, and they're so similar. Like I get them confused all the time. This is 1-2, and the one that's live right now is, oh, they're both 1-2. Sorry, one was just like an older one that wasn't refreshed, and so that just had an old YouTube video in there. So once I stop this live stream on YouTube, once I end this stream, this live stream will stop, and it'll just be whatever I had recorded would be ready to play then.
So it's got a label on it. I'm assuming that it'd be easy to identify to someone going back afterwards,
Yeah,
re-listen, or
yeah, it would look like this. So here's this title, GFO Demo is just what I called it, and then this is just the opening image, which I believe you can change at some point if you wanted to, and then they would just click play, and then that would start playing it.
Oh, it's fantastic. And all those questions that were asked
Yeah,
below would still be there.
that's right.
Love that idea.
They can then put in their supplemental materials, everything like that.
I like it. This is very different, unique to other webinars I've ever been on. I like it.
Well, other webinars I feel like are not actually true webinars. They're just online meetings. And so I think there's a big difference because what you want to be able to do is replicate that presentation, live conference presentation as much as possible with someone being on a stage or something like that. So I think this is the better way to do it. The challenge is we just have to teach your presenters how to use this encoding software. And that's really it. All we have to do is teach them how to use that. And then from there, the live stream is controlled by you. That actually, I'm glad we talked our way through that because I think that's going to work really well.
Janice, you had a question.
I don't know what it was now. I've got a few notes that I'll put down here.
Yes. Yeah, like after
Black.
totally. After we talked through that scenario, all they would need to have on their own devices is this encoding software. It's a free software. It's available for Mac or Windows, and it's relatively straightforward.
Okay. So they'd have to download that onto their device that they're going to use for the presentation.
That's right. So that would be the requirement of them. They would have to download this one software, install it, and then working with a GFOA slash us just to understand how to get set up in a basic way.
So Nathan, let's say this is all working the way it's intended, and they've attached a copy of their presentation um, as one of the items down below.
Yeah.
And there's a question that comes up, and the presenter hadn't thought of that. So they would like to include another document that would maybe explain whatever the question was in some sort of detail. Could they add um, the other downloads after the fact?
You're in control of this. They're not. GFOA admins this page itself.
Okay, that's really easy then. They could just send it to me and I could upload it to that
That's right. I
presentation.
would teach you how to if they needed another row here, I would teach you how to add another row really easily.
Okay.
What about the comments portion? Could the presenter respond? Say somebody had a comment afterwards, to go back in there and just respond accordingly.
Totally. As long as you're a member, you can add comments to any page that has comments enabled, which currently on your site will be just webinars.
Yeah, I really like this because there's always after the fact, right?
And it gives more flexibility. I know this about these additional documents or uploads because of the Bloom scenario that we're currently working in. And what has happened is a whole lot of additional documents and spreadsheets or whatever the case might be are added after the fact. And then I physically hand those out to each person who attended. So if they can just be added to the website on the page where we have and this is again, this is only free webinars we're talking about
Yeah.
right now.
For
Yeah, for members. I think that that kind of does it all. Looks to me
Yeah,
like.
it does. It covers everything that you could possibly want. I like it.
Yeah, I think it should work. So next step, like I said, end of April, we're pretty close to having this ready to go in terms of that infrastructure. But in May, we really have to start contacting those presenters and figuring out. And it's going to be a bit of a trial and error just as we work through this, getting them to use the encoder, and then doing some trial runs throughout May. So think about your best presenters in terms of their willingness to participate in maybe some test presentations. They don't have to go through their whole presentation, but just some test scenarios. And I think most of them should want to do this so that they can be confident about how they're going to look and stuff.
I think video would be up for the top as an initial one to try. Because we did try with them very early on before we started with any kind of webinars to have them do one for us, and we used it through GoToMeeting, which wasn't ideal, but it did work.
Yeah,
So I think they'd be on board for attempting the initial trial for sure.
that's great. So what I would need from you guys is to start setting up some meeting dates with these presenters in early May to familiarize them with the encoding tools, and then start doing some practice sessions. And then on
Well, we
our,
only have
oh,
10, so it shouldn't be too hard.
sorry, how many?
10.
Yeah. So if you could also give me so also an ask for all of them is we need to know what time each of them is going, the title of each session, if there's any kind of category or anything related to that session that you want us to put in as like a category or a tag. We need a session description for each one, and then any session resources as well as the sponsors that are associated with that webinar.
Okay.
And then, like I said, early May, let's start setting up some sessions with these people to start going through these encoders. And ideally, what we can do from that, Candice, is of course I'll run through the encoder sessions with as much as possible. But by the however many we get into, I think it'd be good to try and hand off to you to walk them through the process as well. And I think if you and I work together on the step by step, you'll be able to handle it no problem.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That sounds good.
Oh, sorry.
Some,
One other thing I do need you guys to do is to create a GFOA YouTube account or a GFOA Gmail account. YouTube uses it. YouTube and Gmail are the same thing. Google owns YouTube, so if you have a generic email that's a Gmail account for GFOA, that's what we should use for the YouTube.
okay, I don't think we currently do, but
So you can even just create a free one like GFOA at gmail.com or something like that.
okay. I'll
Okay,
check and see what I've got here, Nate. Enough, or get back to you on that.
perfect. Well, I'm glad you guys are good with this path forwards. I think it's going to work really well. And next, I'm glad we also have a month of working with the presenters to make sure that everything is going to go smooth.
Well, basically, Alan, do you already know the titles of what they're going to present, or are they going to be different what they initially submitted?
Great question. Some are the same, some are different. I think what we can do, because they're gonna, I mentioned I was gonna reach out here in the next couple of weeks. We could start